Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Shiny Hunter Dom coming at you today with a detailed look at the new 8th Gen Galar Region map breakdown. Now, as you know, only a few days ago, Pokemon Sword and Shield dropped its first trailer with a reveal of the region as well as a look at the 3 starter Pokemon. Now, people have been going crazy the last few days trying to figure out exactly what this new Pokemon adventure will entail, and a lot of ideas are coming out of the woodworks, and the overall picture is beginning to get clearer and clearer as we get ever closer to E3, which I presume will hold a lot more information, far more than what we're currently given. I want to start with the overall map itself. Now, if we are to believe that the map is a rough parody of the UK, then we notice one thing immediately. This map is the UK only upside down. If one is to simply look at a map, you would see that London is on the southern end of the UK, not the north, and with that assumption we can conclude a few things from here. If you notice in the trailer, one article of clothing that the female avatar wears prominently is the Tam O'Shanter hat, which is known for in its day to be a military hat worn by the Scots, and some regiments still wear it to this day. It's also worn as a fashion item, which is seen in the trailer itself, giving more credence to the idea that the south of Galar represents Scotland. North of the starter area, we can see a large body of water, which many have concluded thus far may represent Loch Ness. As we don't have any information on the in-game names of these areas, I will of course be addressing them as their real-world counterparts. Maybe a representation of the Loch Ness Monster will be shown off as a Pokemon in this game, maybe even a legendary. We can only guess, and only time will tell. I have a few theories about this area. It seems to be mostly uninhabited, which leaves me to believe that this will be a large open area part of the map. I'm guessing late game. There are no real trails, and the only real buildings seem to be a train station to the south and a broken tower to the north. The only way to the north is of course by train, which the UK is known for as the most famous mode of transportation. To the west is a long stretch of train track that enters mountain tunnels and ends up to the north. This railroad bridge represents the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which is famous and known for being featured in several Harry Potter movies as well as Forza Horizon 4. This railway leads to the middle of the map where you see our first industrial city. This would represent the Scottish capital, Edinburgh. As we can see in game, this city is covered in industry, as billows of smoke pour into the sky, which is funny enough as Edinburgh locals lovingly call their home Old Reekie, which is Scot for Old Smoky, referring to the dark smoke that hangs over the city. Even on the map, you can see smoke rising from the chimneys of the city. Even further north, shown off in the trailer itself, is what I would think is the town of Dorset. Now, it isn't geographically correct by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have one aspect, the figure on the hill. In Dorset, they have the Giant of Dorset, which is a nearly 200 feet tall figure which has been on the side of the hill since the 17th century. Not much is known about the man. He's naked and holding a club over his head. Our giant in Galar, however, seems to be some figure with a tail, and perhaps using a power of some kind, perhaps shooting fire from his mouth. We can also see here in this area are representations of Stonehenge, which of course are the famous enormous boulders that were somehow lifted in positions in such a way that confounds scientists even to this day. As we continue north, we come to the second biggest city on our trek, the representation of Manchester. Now, it's hard to find any representation for Manchester. Of course, Manchester is quite old, but the Manchester in Galar looks more like a fortress than a city. Large, thick castle walls, huge towers raised to the sky in the middle, and strange structures extending out to the left and right of the middle, which could only be referred to as a castle. Off to the left, nestled away is a large forest that I believe we catch sight of in the trailer itself, represented as a misty, thick forest that could only be the most famous of them all, Sherwood Forest, known for exploits in our world as the haven of Robin Hood and his merry men. This Sherwood seems to house not only a gym, but glowing mushrooms that seem to be larger than the gym and houses themselves. Very interested to see more of this in the future. The last stop on our tour of Galar is the metropolis that could only be London. This is the easiest to suss out as there are so many clues. Big Ben is a dead giveaway. and what could be Parliament, as well as the London Eye, the famous observation wheel, and what I believe to be the Shard, the jutting tower in the middle of the city. Off to the right is also an obvious parody of Wembley Stadium, the arch reading over the stadium itself, another dead giveaway to the city's real-life counterpart. Now, while I have no doubt in my mind that this is in fact an inverted UK, I don't believe this map is fully revealed. There seems to be places where conveniently enough cloud seems to be covering massive parts of the map, and I believe for this reason this is to mask any spoilers that may or may not give away a surprise or the plot. Another thing I noticed next to Dorset. The Pokemon series has a large emphasis on creating stronger Pokemon, and one way we do this is through breeding. Now, how this is done is via a daycare, where Pokemon are left, and when left with a male and female, there will, in some cases, be eggs produced, and these are taken then by the player, and when a certain number of steps are reached, the egg will hatch, and a new Pokemon with traits taken from both its mother and its father will emerge, something we'll explore in a future video. Generally, Pokemon games will give you an area that makes for easier grinding of steps. Usually it's a long road or path that doesn't require twists or turns, and when combined with bikes, which count the same distance as steps, though does so in a far shorter time, maximizes the ability to hatch many more eggs in less time. I believe this will be our daycare, as it resides by its lonesome between a rather long stretch of road that extends from the east by the sea to the hills of Dorset in the west. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Galar Region map and what lays in store for us in late 2019. If you'd like to stay up to date with more uploads, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notifications. If you like this video, why not give it a like? Until we meet again, this is Shiny Hunter Dom saying, shine on.